Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new to this channel, don't also forget to subscribe. We talk about Igbo spirituality, Igbo cosmology. We want to basically promote and improve the Igbo consciousness, trying to get people to understand that Igbo spirituality is not demonic, by explaining Igbo concepts and Igbo related facts. Then with those facts, you can now make informed decisions about these spiritual practices and make the right decisions for you, not decisions based on Eurocentric explanations. So this is the essence and the purpose of this channel. So if this kind of content or this is what you want to learn about, then you should follow this. You should subscribe and follow us in all our social media. So for today, I want to be talking about the subject of the significance of Obi in Igbo spirituality. Now, Obi has forever and has always been an important aspect of our cosmology, and it's unfortunate that because of Christianity, because of westernization, this vital element of our existence has been destroyed. Now, associated with Obi has the things like Ofo, Alose, like the deities and shrines that are associated with the Obi, which unfortunately has been destroyed because of our need to abandon the spiritual practices of our ancestors. Now, the perception here is that these people perceive these shrines, this Obi, as something that is demonic and therefore should not be associated with. But because of the vacuum that this ancestral points has been, the vacuum that it has created has actually led to so many things that has been happening in our community, in our environment, like theft, like wickedness, people basically poisoning one another. Now, in those days, these things created this kind of sanctity and protected the interest of one another. Now, it means that you cannot come and poison your brother or your sister, somebody from your extended family, from your extended family, because you fear or because of the sanctity, the protection that these kinds of places provide. So because of it, people learned how to live in harmony, because it's, even though human beings are expected to behave without having some sort of a constraint or some sort of a factor or deity encouraging them or making sure that they abide to these kinds of rules, then it's because human nature has a way of being selfish, has a way of just looking out for self-interest. So because of that realization, our ancestors created these PowerPoints, created these places and sanctified it and made sure that these places aided in the preservation of human rights, and the preservation of the interaction you have with me and you and your brother and your sister. But these days, because of this vacuum, because of the absence of this Obi, all these ancestral shrines and the rest of it, people now kill people recklessly without even thinking of the consequences, because with the destructions of these places, those things that held all of us together were no longer active. So although people are now trying to rejuvenate and revitalize these PowerPoints to have this kind of spiritual protective shields that are going to ensure that our society is safe and we are able to live with one another without betraying ourselves, without killing ourselves, without the fear that somebody from your own, somebody from your lineage is going to poison or kill you because because you made money or because of the properties that you have. So I'm going to be talking about Obi. Now, in this modern day, we look at Obi as the modern day patio. The white man has this thing that the patio that they build outside their houses, where they receive fresh air, where they receive visitors. That's the Igbo interpretation of Obi. Now, the Obi has its spiritual factors, therefore I cannot compare them with the the white man's patio. But for the for the sake of people that want to understand the full scope of what I'm talking about, the Obi is the modern day patio. So it was the only, originally, while our ancestors instituted this Obi in every community, in every lineage, in every household, Alanguru, there is always the prevalent and existence of this Obi, was because in Owambo, the only existing human structure or the only existing structure was Obi Chuku, where Chuku went in and was even, where the all thing about creation was basically being occurred. So the Obi was Now, the Obi being the only significant structure that houses the essence of the ancestors. Don't forget, it's something we emulated from Owambo. So it was being passed down by the first ancestors, Ndimbo, the second ancestors, Ndiagede. The hierarchy of existence. Because when we look at Ndimbo and Ndiagede, these were ancestors, and each of them came with different times. Now, I'm going to treat it in another video. The Igbo ages. We're going to understand where these ancestors came about and what they achieved during their own particular time and existence. So Obi there is what we also refer to as Obindiche. Now, what makes it Obindiche? In our cosmology, we don't have this perception of heaven or hell. So we believe that when a person lives his or her life in a certain way, by the Igbo standard, he's just, he's moral, he's truthful, he has integrity, and all those things. Now, eventually, and he has fulfilled his cosmic purpose through Iyuwa, then he's going to get into a place that we know as Ikeleku Mmo or Obi Ndiche. So from there, they can now be the spiritual intercessors that we live in now. So when I call on my ancestors, I'm looking at these first ancestors, Obi Ndiche Bendebe Ejefobiri. So this is the genealogy. This is the perception that we have. Now, Ikelepumo, these are at the points where they can now be able to communicate with Okike, communicate with the Creator. So that is the perception of what Ikelepumo is. Now, Obindiche becomes the physical representation of Obindiche houses, rather, the physical representation of ancestors. Now, within this Obi, because we spiritually fortified these places, so it houses the essence of these ancestors, the physical representation, because in Igbo cosmology, we deal with things that we see. Now, what we cannot see, what we cannot comprehend, we bring it into reality by edifying them, by having the images or artifacts that are representing those cosmic or divine images that we have in our minds. So these images is something we know as Okbesi or Okbosi Ndiche. Now, the Obindiche houses the essence, the physical representation of these ancestors, and it's also the same place where we go to venerate and pour libation to these ancestors. Now, there are processes that guides us into the institution of this Okbosi or Okbesi Ndiche within an Obi. So this is one of the reasons that makes this Obi a very sacred and a very important aspect of our cosmology. Now, physically, our fathers accept or have their visitors in this place. Now, the same way that physically in this mortal realm that we have entertained visitors in this Obi for people that still have their Obi, because physically we entertain visitors because we believe in Kodina Madu Kodina Mo. So which means that spiritually this Ndiche, or people refer to as Ndiche, they entertain visitors. Now these visitors could be deities, it could be your chi, it could be an Ogu, whatever that has been sent that is not part of that family, that is coming in to do anything, whether to help, whether to cause problems. They would first of all meet these people we refer to as Ndiche. And where do they meet them? They meet them in places known as Obi. So what happens here, like when in my book I talked about Omomo before creation, what happens before we've been born, what are the creation process. I said that a person's chi determines, I want to create this individual. Then what the chi does is to come down into this Obindi chi and discuss, negotiate with these ancestors of that family. Now where this chi, the chi essence would engage this Indi chi is within that Obi. So when this happens, this chi comes into Obindi chi and discusses, I want to create so and so. The Indi chi would ask, what do you want to create this person as? Which akalaka do you want to create this person? Now the chi would say, I want this person to be a dibia, I want this person to be a blacksmith, I want this person to be a farmer, whatever. But if that family says, no, they don't know our family with so and so, the chi will not create you within that family. So this is the essence of it. Now, because some of us are now fond of going out there meeting other deities, and instead of first of all starting from our root, which is the more ikune or more benda, they go outside and meet people outside. Now the problem here is that deity that you're engaging with outside would first of all come down to your family and meet your ancestors, would get their permission before that deity or that force will do anything for you. In cases of Ogu, it is the same principle. An Ogu that has been sent to be malignant for you or even benevolent would first of all meet your ancestors and gain their permission. Now, if that Ogu, the command given to it is malevolent, it would first of all gain their permission. You first of all engage them. Look at why I'm here. I was sent to kill so and so. Then your ancestors would determine who is it. This person that has been, offering libation, breaking kola nut for us. No, you cannot touch this person. This Ogo will try to liar, will try to negotiate. Your ancestors are going to be stand firm because you know them, you acknowledge them, and they're going to basically not allow that Ogo to fight you or to harm you in any way. But in situation where you do not know your ancestors, the only thing you know about your ancestors is to fight and pray against them, and your ancestors are at liberty to allow the Ogun or the malevolent force to do anything it wants to do with you. So you see the benefit of you acknowledging and knowing your ancestors. Now, some of us are prone of shouting ancestral spirits, ancestral powers, all those things die by fire. All those things are being recorded by your ancestors. So once in situations where a malignant force has been sent against you, your ancestors are not going to be that shield. They are not going to protect you. They are going to allow it to carry out its purpose. And this is why most of us die prematurely. Is the most appropriate place for this obi to be built. Now, in the olden days, it's said that when you move or when you come into an nguru, a compound, a family compound, the first thing you should see is not the home. The first thing you're going to see is an obi. The obi, the structure of the obi is expected to be built facing the exit of the compound. And the reason there is that once this malignant forces or alose comes into that family, what it is good, the first place it is going to enter is the obi. Now, it just let me just create this scenario. Let me say you and your family, you're having a meeting in your family home. As you guys are discussing, having conversation for whatever conversation that is. Now, a visitor comes into your home, and all of you are basically sitting in a structure that is facing the exit of your compound. So once you're there, you're sighting that person. The person would not basically sneak in. The person would not even try to camouflage, because all of you are seeing that person. Now, are you going to sit back and allow that stranger to just move in? Now, nobody is going to allow that stranger to move in. Rather, what they're going to do, even if the stranger is trying to move in or trying to sneak into that compound, now the people there that are already in that obi would basically say, hey, you come here. What are you doing? Who are you? Where are you going to? They're going to basically, confront that person to know who are you. We don't know that. But if it's a family member that is coming in, everybody knows that person, they would hail that person, they'll greet that person. But if it is a stranger, the tendency that they're going to basically command that person, hail that person, come here, who are you looking for, is there. Especially when the person is looking like a novice and the person is is looking weird and being strange. They would ask that person, come here, what are you trying to do here? And from there, they would now basically know who that person is, what is your purpose, and what are you doing here. You see why the structure and the position of an obi is very important. So the ancestors are not going to be taken unawares. So once they see a strange force or a strange person or strange deity or whatever that is coming into, they would immediately brace up and ask that person, what are you doing here? Why are you here? Now, once that person comes into that obi now and gives this message, this is why I'm here, this is what I've been sent here to do, they will now begin to negotiate and judge, because for whatever thing to happen to a person, they have to pass through the judgment period. And the judgment period is when because I have to summon the person's chi, come here, look at what this person is trying to do. This person said that this person so and so has been sent to kill the person, or if that person has been summoned before a deity because of some kind of justice that they want to attain, and they said this person is here, this is why this person is here, and this is the purpose, what do you have to say about it? Then they begin the judgment period, the negotiation period. So once you're aligned with your chi and your ancestors, it's easier for them to warn you and protect you. But if you're the kind of person that is all about the idea of castigating, fighting, demonizing your ancestral and familiar spirits, then they are not at liberty to protect you. Although your chi, which becomes the only spirit that loves you unconditionally, will try to fight for you, will try to tell you, see you, and from that moment your chi begins to show you some kinds of revelation, and those revelations are targeted at you, knowing that there is something that is spiritually going on your behalf. So when you see yourself having some certain dreams, like being chased by masquerade, being chased by the police, being in trouble, it's an indication that something is wrong. And when you now start seeing yourself before a group of older men, before a shrine or a deity, before it's as if you're in a court case, then there's a judgment that is going on your behalf. So if you're spiritually awakened, if you understand ordinary from your indigenous perspective, you will know that you have to run to Alpha. Now through Alpha, you're going to get an information, see this is what is going on spiritually for you, and this is what you're going to do to fix that problem. So this is the essence why the position of an obi is important to Igbo. It is not supposed to be built at the back of the house or the home, because people are now trying to hide these Igbo stuff, these Igbo concepts, because modernization and because of what people are going to say, you're doing something that fetish, you're being part of the system that is archaic, is an old system. So they now basically hide their obi at the back of the home. But in our ancestral perception, these things are expected to be built facing the exit of an environment. And why facing the exit of an environment is there to perform this, to protect us, to basically chant or command strange spirits and ask them to, what are you doing here, and what is your purpose and your intention. So this is the ancestral perception of the position of an obi. Thing that our ancestors did that in those days that aided in protecting us as their children and protecting their family is the rearing of livestock in front of the homes, like having something like poultry or having an animal farm in front of the home. That the essence there is that Obialibum Bulu Isiano. What if you want to kill me? Use this animal as an exchange. And there is this Igbo traditional rites known as Igbo or Iwa Enwuzu, the process of changing a person's, the process of saving a person's life by exchanging that life with an animal or a livestock. Now that's a lengthy ritualistic or ritual process. It's quite lengthy, and it's a very strong ritual for people that understand and know how to basically do it. But this one is when, in cases where an ogo or a malignant force comes into the obi to negotiate with your ancestors, and your ancestors are strongly behind you, fighting you, and in cases where it really needs to take something and go back, because they will tell you that ajomwada wakana. In cases where it really needs to go home with something, then though that animal becomes a substitute, the animal becomes a substitute, something it will take in an exchange for you. And while it's taking nothing in exchange for your life is being guarded and your life is being protected. Now, if that animal is far away, before they will say, oh yeah, let's go and bring that animal back, something will just happen. So because those animals are like very close, the ongo or whatever will take that thing as an exchange for your life. Now, this is why every strong dibia has some kind of an animal totem, or having some kind of a familiar animal friend around it. Now, the purpose of that thing being there is it uses it as an exchange for its life in situations being faced by a stronger kind of ogo, or a stronger kind of challenge, or something that's coming to basically take its life, that force takes that animal's life instead. So that's the rationale there. So most times when an animal, healthy animal suddenly dies in those days, especially when it happens occasionally, now you say they go through alpha, why is this thing happening, why is that thing happening, then they get a confirmation. And if they need to have something strongly, they try to like energize his chi, ancestors, spiritual forces to help them to ward that force off, they will do it, because alpha has confirmed the origin of why that thing is happening. So that's it, guys. This is the ancestral perception on the significance of Obi in Igbo spirituality, in Igbo culture. So to basically conclude this video, Igbo spirituality is a very beautiful thing when you are able to understand it, when you interact with it, because interactions are very important. Yesterday in my group, somebody said something about how do I interact with the gods of the land? And it's absurd, because first of all, they're nothing like gods of the land. Our ancestors understood Alose, and they understand Chiuku. So this is how we call them. Now, when we talk about Alose, because I know this person is talking about Alose as gods of the land. So when we talk about Alose, you cannot interact with the gods of the land. You have to know the deity that you want to interact with. For instance, in my hometown, we have diverse deities, but the one that is connected to my family, Obiuno, is a deity that we call Nne Ogugu Ocheoba. If I want to interact with Nne, I do not interact with Nne by saying Alose, gods of the land. No, I interact with Nne as Nne. I don't interact with Nne as a god. I don't interact as a god. I interact with Nne as Nne Ogugu. Nne bani, mmụọ bennem, mmụọ bennam, mmụọ ikwu nnem. This is how I interact with it. So this, when interactions and understanding and knowing what you're interacting with is more important than the rituals, the sacrifices, the rites that you're performing, because you need to know them. Now, for people that are gifted, they are and keeps their body, their soul pure, these deities reveal themselves to them and show them, say, this is me, this is what I am called. So these experiences are beautiful. Learning about Odinani is beautiful. It saves our life, it protects us, it shields us, it guides you, it helps you to grow your knowledge. It helps you to seek happiness from within yourself. Even though people are messing up this system, even though people are using it for derogatory and negative things, it does not matter. What matters is how you that is watching, how do you interact with these forces? If you decide to use them for good. If you decide to use them for bad, because our people say na omemma na emere onwe ya. When you're good, you're being good for yourself, not because there is this benefit, there is this reward for you being good. You're good because you're genuinely good. Is in your DNA. Omenjo na emere onwe ya. You're an evil person. The problem is you, not me, not the system. The problem is you. So in ordinary, good or bad revolves around the individual and not the system. It is not a systematic issue, it's not an institutional issue, but it's an individual issue. So if you're able to change the individual's mindset, change the individual, then the system, we do not have to worry about the system. But don't you want to change the system without changing the individual would adjust with the system. And at the end of the day, you find out that you're actually doing more good, more harm than good. So if this kind of content is something you want to learn about your indigenous spirituality, Odinani, then share this page or share this video wherever you're watching me from. Invite your family, invite your brother, invite your sister. invite your friends, share it to them, and subscribe. This is how you support this channel. And until next time, it is me, Mbafo Nwachukwu Meleze Somtochukwu Adannaya Ejefobere Nwa Nwakanwa Nwa Ezogini Nwa Nnewi Nwa Okpu Okputolo Okpu Nwa Okpu Ogbe Nwa Okpu Obi Ụnọ Nwa Okpu Nnewi. It is me. And until next time, like I see, I'm not being goofy.